Hello, welcome from the stage of Strategy and Innovation panel in the concept of project management offices. It's a big pleasure for me to open today this panel and to welcome our first host, first speaker. I would like to say a big thanks to Agniezska Gasperini. She is board of directors at PMI Global, and she provides a great support to all of us to realize this event and to grow as a chapter and as a PMI members. Thank you very much, Agnieszka. Do you hear us?
Thank you for inviting me. Yes, I can hear you, and thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you that you're here. Thank you for your time. You are very experienced and you have a lot of awards in the terms of project management profession. And also I know that you're volunteer in PMI for many years. So it's a real pleasure for us to hear what are the strategy that PMI on global level will do in the next year in order to meet the digital future. So it would be very interesting to hear from you. The stage is yours. Please share your screen and let's do this nice event.
Thank you very much. Okay, can you see my screen? Because actually I'm sharing it.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
All right, so that's the first success. Okay, so good morning, everyone. It's a big pleasure to be here with you today, even if it's only virtually, and I cannot see anybody, but I'm good in visualization. So I imagine that there are like 400 people sitting around the room and you are having fun. And this is the first day of a great ProjeXplorer virtual summit. And I'm very privileged to be here and represent my colleagues, 12 directors in the board of Project Management Institute. And yes, a lot of exciting things happening in PMI. So I would do my best to share with you what we prepared for you. Big thank you for organizers. I know it's a hard work, all volunteers preparing this conference. It's a lot of work, a lot of hours, and I've been in Sofia for the conference a few years ago, and I know, guys, that you really rock and know how to do this kind of events. So big applause for everybody. And I know it's just the beginning, but it should be powerful and give you energy for the next 3 days. And also big congratulations, as it is 10 years of hosting these conferences. So I really admire your dedication to PMI. All right, so first of all, I hope that everybody are healthy and you feel good. So I hope that, you know, next year maybe we can meet in person. So your agenda for the next 3 days has very theme and timely topics that you are sharing with people. I went through the agenda and it sounds very interesting. So I can imagine that exploring leadership, learning and partnership opportunities in the project economy, that would be the best way to share during these 3 days. I also love the fact that you have sessions focused on the idea of unlearning, because all of us today must continue to let go all the old ways of thinking and working in order to embrace the future. Today, I'm going to speak to you about the current landscape of project management and our thinking at PMI on how we continue to evolve as the times change, as well as what project professionals can do to ensure their relevance. So let's start off with some numbers. So at PMI, one of our great assets as an organization is our global reach. So this is the snapshot of where we are today based on our internal data collected early this year. For 50 years, we've been supporting the professional development of individuals from all over the world. And we are very fortunate to benefit from the insights and perspectives of professionals from around the globe, including all of you joining us from across the region. I know that there are many chapters collaborating with each other in Europe. So I assume that many chapters are today also in the room. So thank you very much for attending also this event. Volunteering is for us the most important part of PMI. You are the heart of our organization. So PMI shares a commitment to driving also social impact around the globe. And I think today is very important to talk about that. So if you look at the example at our Hours of Impact initiative, which is calling on our global community to pledge 100,000 hours of service in support of the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals in 2021. And this year is very crucial because also of pandemic, but it's important to mention about that. So PMI, as a member of the United Nations Global Compact, PMI has signed a formal commitment supporting the 17 SDGs, which address our world's most urgent challenges, from climate change to poverty. So there is nobody better prepared to tackle the world's biggest challenges than project professionals and change makers. And yes, if we talk about change makers, who they are. So change makers could be anybody, could be students, volunteers, entrepreneurs, specialists, or business leaders at any age and any background. So, so project professionals will always be the heart of our community, and collectively we have a great wealth of knowledge, resources, and experience, but the PMI community stands to make enormous global impact by sharing our collective knowledge with others who need project management skills to make the ideas reality. So these are change makers, as I mentioned, different types of people, anybody who can support our profession. Change makers are really important for us, and they are in the middle of PMI. Change makers may not necessarily identify themselves as project managers on their LinkedIn account. That's the easiest way where we can change that. But as the world increasingly sees the world of work oriented around projects and programs, they need a place to go for mastery of the craft. PMI highlights some examples of emerging change makers in our Future 50 list we put, which recognizes millennials and members of Generation Z who are not waiting to take on leadership position in the future, but are already acting boldly today. It's a remarkable group of people and worth checking out on PMI website, of course. There are some outstanding leaders focused on everything from closing the digital divide in Africa to transforming waste in India into eco-friendly batteries. They are leveraging new technologies, fighting disease, and taking on climate change. Change makers are developing more sustainable sources of food and energy, building residential and commercial spaces with lasting benefits. These are people who see some of those challenges we touch on and see solutions and new opportunities in innovative way. And you're gonna talk a lot about innovation during the 3 days, so I think it's worth to mention also here. They also reflect the very best of Generation Z and the millennials, who increasingly want to take their time and talents to organizations and projects to make a difference. This past year, or the last 2 years, I would say, saw everybody the major disruptions to business as usual. The whole world paused. But so many organizations have found ways to pivot this year to respond to COVID. The rapid development of a vaccine, converting canteens to makeshift hospital, shipping oxygen around the world, the pivot to virtual events like this one we are having today. The common element we saw in organizations that pivoted this year was that they empowered their people to act as change makers, and projects were how work got done. So it's very challenging to plan long-term for the future today, right? When there is so much uncertainty. We don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow, next month, or next year. So it's very difficult to plan. Consider the continued uncertainty that the new version of COVID just appeared and has brought to planning for a post-pandemic world, or even simply returning more people to face-to-face meetings, interactions, and participating also in conferences like this one. So the alarming frequency with which we see extreme weather events like historic forest fires, floods, and droughts around the globe, that included also very strong hurricanes that we faced. These headlines demonstrate that macro trends like pandemics and climate challenge are no factors in our everyday lives. We should accept that we are likely never going back to a period of predictability. In the words of the futurist Peter Hinson, we should think of this new environment we are in as the new normal. We have moved way past concepts like a new normal or a digital revolution. Instead, we will face a continual cycle of change that organizations must embrace or risk falling behind. The good news is that thinkers like Peter also predict there are opportunities for organizations to come out stronger than before. He calls the ones that succeed Phoenix organizations. They reinvent themselves. They combine a sense of urgency, a clear vision, a mindset of reinvention, and they empower the people to act as change makers. Why is this relevant to our team's work at the Project Management Institute? A clear takeaway of this trend is that the world is moving so quickly that teams must form and pivot quickly in response, driving a greater shift toward projectization. We call it the project economy, in which winners and losers are determined in great part by their ability to define and execute our projects. In this environment, teams of all types are identifying problems and defining solutions. Solutions for problems no one person can solve alone. We talk a lot about COVID accelerating the shift to virtual work, but I think that even more significant change we are seeing is always from what many organizations maintain as a hero culture, a top-down view of the world. Today's success requires an ability to effectively collaborate and lead without formal authority. In the past, a project leader might have heard a directive like, here's a project, here's a goal, here's a set of requirements. Today, it's different. Today, you are much more likely to hear, here's the problem, and here's a desired outcome, and we are looking for the way how we're gonna resolve this challenge. So we see a future in which more people than ever benefit from cultivating project skills, especially as world increasingly shifts to focus on projects more than lifelong employment at a single organization. The very structure of career path are changing to a much more non-linear format as talent move from projects to projects. Individuals will need to tackle diverse global challenges and have a broad skill set with foundation in project management alongside additional skills which are tailored to the needs of this challenging. And you will hear today and tomorrow about powered skills. This is exactly what I'm referring to. So we are only just beginning to see now how the pandemic will shift long-term trends in terms of how teams organize and deliver work, accelerating the shift that PMI calls the project economy, in which work and value is increasingly delivered in the form of projects. Our annual Pulse of Profession research shows how organizations thrilled amidst these types of changes this past year. That means a fundamental shift in how organizations and their teams plan and they work. Both people and organizations need to thrive through ambiguity. To succeed, organizations need people that can adapt approaches to new ways of working by sensing change, mitigating shock, and responding with speed. So we see some of these changes reflect in our last Pulse research released this spring, Beyond Agility, which looks at how organizations have coped with challenges of the last year. The pandemic accelerated the pace and scale of digitalization exponentially, with a big impact on talent and the need to upskill and reskill. No matter what industry or sector, we all have been forced to challenge conventional thinking. Well, so to double click on just a few of these at the top of the chart, you will see digital transformation, business strategy. That's a massive increase. Digital transformation, we saw countless organizations move virtual, a shift that was already happening, but is no longer optional. If we talk about business strategy, this shift to a digital-first environment, of course, has necessitated significant shifts in business strategy. Take the food service industry. Suddenly, every restaurant had to optimize for delivery and carry out in order to survive. If we talk about organization adaptability, not a huge surprise, given all the changes we saw last year, that more organizations reported changes in the levels of organizational adaptability. The organization we identify as gymnastic enterprises were more likely than traditional enterprises to complete more projects using agile and hybrid approaches, and less likely to use one prescribed approach. It's not about walking away from waterfall altogether. It's about ensuring that teams customize their approach for the project at hand. With the focus on augmenting human skills, I mentioned about power skills. We focus on creative collaboration. It's little surprise that gymnastic enterprises are dialing up what we call exactly power skills in a big way. Especially, again, if you look at the slide, you have some the most important skills you are defining: collaborative leadership, adaptability, innovative mindset, empathy. I do believe that many sessions during this event are built upon these skills. So thank you again to organizers. So again, the pandemic has changed the emphasis on what it takes to be successful, from the C-suite to the front lines. The human cost of crisis has made it more important than ever to connect with authenticity. And with the world in a period of great change, it's take us uniquely human qualities to navigate increasingly complex and ambiguous challenges. So again, collaborative leadership, adaptability, innovative mindset, and empathy, which makes my heart feel happy if we talk about empathy. Now, this is the time to invest in your professional development. And it's an exciting time because the role of project managers is evolving very quickly today. Less focused simply on delivering project on time and on a schedule, and more focused on delivering change as a strategic advisor. You're probably familiar with our talent triangle. You will notice that we are exploring an evolution of the skills that we need along each side on talent triangle to succeed today. So first of all, ways of working, which technical capability you are choosing, which methodology you are choosing. This is still very important, but we need to remember about developing our strategic business skills, where you need to understand where you work and where the organization is going. And a very important part of talent triangle is power skills we are just talking about. So I hope that you can find a good balance between all the skills that you need to develop. And by sharing my own experience, I would say prioritize few skills that you would like to increase and develop next year. So today's change makers will need to keep investing in their sets. So choose some of them, prioritize, and just practice and develop the skills. So we in PMI, we see that reflected in all studies from leading organizations around the globe that we collaborate with, we have some statistics that you can see on the screen. Maybe it's worth to mention 79% of global CEOs are concerned the lack of key skills is a threat to their business. 55% believe this skills gap is impacting the organization's ability to innovate effectively. And project management as a skills that was noted by McKinsey as one of 9 important and growing skills for the future. So everybody sitting in the room, you are in the right place today. And thank you for choosing this profession. Just a quick view on our certification framework. You can find these credentials at Project Management Institute website. And I would say just choose what is best for you and most important, and then go for it. I know that there are chapters in the room from different countries in Europe. So probably each of you can say this credential is more important for us because of the situation on the market, and the other chapter can decide on something different. And also I know that we have certified trainers teaching that. So thank you for doing that and sharing with us. So a few takeaways and some things that are worth to reflect when you finish the day. Third, if you can think about these 3 important messages, I would be happy. So first of all, power skills. Again, go back to talent triangle. Look at the skills that are important. Choose the ones that you want to learn more and develop, and upskilling. The second thing, whenever you work with your project, use the appropriate approach that will fit best for your project, for the way like teams are working. So either agile, hybrid, waterfall, whatever you choose, you need to also understand why you are choosing the one concrete approach. And I know we are talking a lot about agile ways of working. Everybody wants to be agile, but make sure that you can really use this approach. Lately, I had a nice discussion with my friend who was trying to implement agile, and she pushed the teams in the organization, and she did a very hard work to convince everybody that yes, we need to be agile, and she failed. She found out after a few months that the organization she works for is not ready for that. So she gave up. By the way, she changed the organization, but we need to be aware why actually we are choosing a specific way of working in our organizations, okay? And the third message I want to leave you with is that projects are how work gets done, and change makers require project skills. So reflect on these 3 messages and just think about it also during the next session you want to talk about. And I personally believe that you will get a lot of complex information during the event. So to summarize, we know that the world faces big challenges, and probably there are still more up front. If the past year has taught us anything, is that anything is possible when we connect a vision for the future with an understanding of how to turn the vision into reality. The world is changing, and is changing very quickly. But we are not only reacting to change. Organizations need people who can drive it. And PMI stands ready to empower change makers to do just that, including all of you. And with that message, I would like to thank you very much for inviting me And I think we have very balanced time now for some questions, some comments. I would love to hear your thoughts around what we are doing.
Thank you very much, Agnieszka. It was very interesting presentation, and it was a pleasure for us to hear a lot of things that PMI is preparing in order to support the world to go into the new future and reality. Uh, what you mentioned regard agile is very interesting, and I would ask you to corroborate a little bit more on that, because you mentioned that not all of organizations are ready to implement agile. How, from your point of view, the people like us, project manager, can enhance organizations to prepare themselves to go and implement agile?
Yes, so I changed the head. Now I'm Agnieszka. My personal experience with projects. I think that what is the most important and difficult is to explain the organization and the sponsors what actually is agile, right?
Yeah.
You know, when you say agile, people think, all right, we can do the way we want to do, we can do anything, we don't have to make documents. You know, it's not the agile about, and many organizations misunderstand the concept. So me personally, I would say it takes a lot of time to clarify, to teach people, and also educate your sponsors or your leadership team. But when you gain that, when you get this commitment and understanding, there is much more easier, because you just bring the tools to teach people how to work differently, right? But having the same understanding, ask the question, what is agile? Why we need agile? And get the perspective of all your stakeholders. I think that's the 90% of the success when you go further with implementing agile.
Thanks. Really nice inspiration from your side. Okay, in our Q&A chat, we have two questions. So the first one is project management going to be a profession or turn in a skill into the project economy?
Okay, I think we need some clarification. So project management is professional, right? There is no doubt on that. When we talk about project economy, we want to explain that any other profession that needs some project management skills is a part of project economy. Remember when I was talking about partnering with other organizations, there was a slide, I can go back to this one. There is a slide when we talk about the power skills. And behind these skills, there are different products we have in PMI where you can learn how to really improve the skills, right? So when we talk about project economy, we are talking about creating ecospace where we invite other organizations to partner with PMI and help us to deliver the skills. And you can find on the website a lot of different trainings and a lot of different organizations. Like if we talk about Agile, Disciplined Agile, we bought this organization few years ago. This year, we started collaboration with Center for Creative Leadership, when you can develop your, I don't want to use this word soft skills, but you know what I mean. If we talk about human skills, that's CCL, which is one of the 10 top leadership organizations. So you can see that we are not trying to learn everything and do everything by our own hands. We invite other organizations, other partners that are best of the best in their profession to be part of project economy and to work with PMI. So profession will be always, and we want to make that profession stronger. And when we talk about project economy, we want to have ecosystem of different organizations and even empower our profession when we talk about all project management skills. And I hope it's answering the question.
Yeah, it's good that PMI do a lot of initiatives in order to support the project economy and also enhance the cooperation because as you show in your research, teamwork it's something that more people are focused into the future and should be focused onto the future. So one more question from the chat, very interesting. Is there going to emerge a new project management approach that will be used to manage this Phoenix organization in the new normal?
Okay, can you repeat, please? I didn't
Yes.
hear the first part.
Is there going to emerge a new project management approach that will be used to manage this Phoenix organization into the new normal?
Okay, I hope I understand the questions. This is my perspective. But if we talk about the Phoenix organizations, like we need to learn to work in new world because we don't believe that there will be back to the old times. We never be in the same place, right? So we need to adapt to the situation and make sure that we take into account also the changes that are happening in the world, including climate changes, right? So as a profession, we are trying to help project managers and all change makers, let's call them as we call them. So change makers, they need to be equipped in the skills to really drive all the projects in the new normal in the Phoenix organizations. And by the way, I really recommend you the book because it's really good and explains a lot of different factors that influence the world. So that's why we want to react very quickly and give you support and deliver the products that you can find. And last year was extremely packed with new products in PMI. You can see it. We launched over 30 different products, and you can see that yesterday we also announced the new credibility for construction projects. So we make regular research when we look for the gaps, and we try to react very quickly together with partners and give you everything that you need. And I hope that this is what you are expecting from PMI.
Yes, really thank you for that support because chapters needs the support from PMI Global and also our members and our community need the support from the PMI in order to develop their skills and their organizations. Thank you very much again on behalf of PMI Bulgaria chapter for your support for this presentation and for many speakers and the concepts that you provide to us in order to make this event today. Really thanks again. It was pleasure for me and I hope that the audience also enjoyed.
Yes, thank you very much. And last word from me. Remember me, Agnieszka Aga. Some people know me very well in the room, I believe. I'm volunteering like a lot of people, and you also organize it. So feel free to reach me, write to me on LinkedIn or email or call me. I would love to talk with members of chapters. We want to be closer to you. And as you know, that's my first year in this role. And I spent, we can say almost 1 year already with all virtual meetings. And I miss very much face-to-face meetings and chatting with other volunteers and chapter members, like really hear your voice. So I hope that next year will be better for us and we will do more events, hybrid events. And I wish you all good luck and stay in touch and take care of yourself, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hope next time face to face.
I hope so too, and I would love to come back to Bulgaria.